This is Matt from Theater and Stream, and this is a Minisode. I was inspired to take on today's topic because of all these rumors that we've gotten surrounding the future of the James Bond franchise, basically ever since that final Daniel Craig film back in October of 2021. As a Bond fan, I'm kind of frustrated that these rumors are all we've really gotten. No confirmation on who's playing Bond, no film title, no director, no writer, no release date. As of this recording, the latest rumors from about a month ago suggested that actor Aaron Taylor Johnson was literally about to sign a contract that same week, and still, we have yet to hear anything. I have to imagine that whatever this next Bond movie is going to be, it's not something that we're really going to see anytime soon. So why is this next installment of one of the longest running, most lucrative franchises taking so long? Other than the involvement of the Broccoli family, who are the Bond rights holders, who really seem nearly impossible to please, there is one big elephant in the room, perhaps like the biggest of all the elephants, and that would be Amazon. If you need to be brought up to speed on how Amazon fits into this situation, here's basically like the Cliff Notes version. MGM Studios is the storied, century-old movie studio known for classics like Rocky, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Rain Man, Gone with the Wind, Poltergeist, Ben-Hur. In 2010, the studio declared bankruptcy after some really tough years following the 2008 financial crisis. And the studio did continue to release films, and they technically recovered from bankruptcy, but the next 14 years brought in a revolving door of CEOs that essentially signal the company in its death throes. And the global pandemic basically assured this as a result, and then in March of 2022, Amazon swooped in and officially bought MGM Studios. You could make a case that Amazon was basically just looking to pad out their streaming library with a back catalog of classic titles. But there are comments from Amazon Studios vice president that say otherwise. So let's look at the films that Amazon has released since acquiring MGM that weren't just like inherited projects that they got that were already in post-production. There have been 6 films in total, both produced and distributed by Amazon Studios. Of these 6, only one of them is utilizing an MGM property, and that is Doug Liman's recent ill-advised remake of Roadhouse. The other 5 films are all original projects. So let's look to the near future then. Maybe they needed just a little bit more time to make better use of MGM's legacy titles in these next couple of years. Here's every film that is currently in active production from MGM. These are all original works or fresh adaptations. Nothing that makes use of their back catalog. In order to actually find something that makes use of MGM properties, you need to go all the way to the studio's in development section. And basically what this means is that these films very, very tenuously even exist. They are not currently in active production. They may or may not have a cast or a director. They may or may not even be written. They might literally just be an idea bopping around in some writer's head somewhere. They could be anywhere from a couple years away to a decade away. We really don't know. So of these current MGM properties that are described as in development, they include James Bond, Fiddler on the Roof, Legally Blonde 3, and a Pink Panther reboot. The point here is that Amazon is squandering this tremendous catalog that they've inherited of ideas, of franchises, potential reboots and sequels. Where is my Logan's Run readaptation? Why not do something like a network remake but set in a modern day newsroom? Where's my updated Soylent Green, whose themes about climate change and overpopulation are even more dire now, 50 years later? Why not do what A24 did with the Talking Heads movie and remaster and then re-release Pink Floyd's The Wall back into theaters? Here we are, more than 2 years later, and we've got this shitty Roadhouse remake, and it's the only MGM legacy film to have hit screens, and there is nothing official on the calendar through 2026. Why and how did this happen? If I had to guess, it's sort of a number of things. Amazon was a lot more interested in the MGM back catalog than they let on, so that they could basically fatten up Prime Video's movie selection. Secondly, MGM was bought for, frankly, a steal at $8.5 billion, which is like literal couch cushion change for Amazon. As just like a point of comparison, Paramount Pictures is currently shopping themselves around to buyers such as Sony, and Sony has offered $27 billion for that studio. And then thirdly, and I really don't want to underestimate the less quantifiable values here, but I think that MGM has a way of sort of legitimizing Amazon Studios. I think that when people look at Amazon Studios, they see it as like a streaming service studio, and that's a label that comes with a lot of baggage. A sort of inherent cheapness towards the films that streaming services produce, a tendency to prioritize business decisions over artistic motivations, and then just kind of an aloof attitude towards releasing movies in theaters and not really caring whether or not theaters live or die in the next decade or so. Being able to wear MGM as a sort of skin suit gives Amazon the ability to be seen as a storied, respected film studio. And just so you know, Amazon basically did something similar when they purchased the natural grocery store chain Whole Foods a couple of years ago. You are essentially paying for a whole lot of goodwill. And unfortunately, I think that's kind of what the future holds for the MGM name. It's a brand at this point rather than signifying any meaningful artistic credibility. Amazon will basically continue to use the name to churn out these $5 to $15 million streaming films, and then the occasional blockbuster on the side that they'll release in theaters if only to justify their investment. We'll see in the next couple of years the streaming service MGM Plus close up shop or get absorbed into Prime Video, because hardly anybody even knows that streaming service exists, let alone subscribes to it. And the name MGM is basically going to become more synonymous with a casino in Las Vegas than an actual institutional film studio. Now, it's about time for me to go, but I wanted to leave you with one last thing here. This is the MGM logo. You've probably seen it 100 of times. It's basically a logo that Amazon opted to keep mostly intact. But I did want to point you to the bit of Latin writing that's within the logo. Ars Gratia Artis. Again, it's probably something you've seen 100 of times, and this basically translates to the English phrase, art for art's sake. And I want you to think about that for just a moment. Amazon, the mega corporation, the pinnacle of world commerce, devoted to undercutting all of their competitors by driving costs down as low as possible, whose underpaid, overworked employees pee into bottles so they don't have to take bathroom breaks, whose website is 90% Chinese knockoff garbage, who has AI algorithms designed to gauge the likelihood of their employees unionizing, and who surrounds their warehouses with razor wire and armed guards in foreign countries. This is the company that looked at the words art for art's sake, and then with a completely straight face said, yeah, that totally represents us. Anyway, that's going to be it for me today. Next Monday, join Chuck and I when we review the new Luca Guadagnino film, Challengers. See ya.